The vastness of space stretched out in all directions, endless and silent. The galaxy had always been a place of discovery, danger, and mystery. But today, something new, something unexpected was unfolding. Deep in the heart of the Alpha Quadrant, a fleet of alien ships was patrolling the border of their territory. These ships were the most advanced in the galaxy, their weapons capable of obliterating entire planets. The Xarnath Empire, known for their ruthlessness and superior technology, had held this sector for centuries. There was no force strong enough to challenge them. At least that was what they thought. On their radar, a strange signal appeared. It was weak at first, a flicker in the vast emptiness of space, but then it grew stronger. The signal was unlike anything they had encountered. It wasn't just a ship. No, this was something different. It was a warship. But the problem? The signature didn't match any known species or technology. This was new. The Xarnath commanders stared at their screens in disbelief. "What is this?" one of them muttered. "Where did it come from?" The ship was moving fast, far faster than their technology allowed for a normal interstellar ship. They watched as the warship approached their fleet with purpose, a dark shadow against the star-filled sky. In the command center of the lead ship, Xarnath General Valak stood silent, his yellow eyes narrowed in suspicion. For centuries, the Xarnath Empire had crushed all who dared oppose them. The galaxy was their domain, and now this unknown ship was entering their sector, threatening to disturb their control. Valak tapped his claws on the command table. "Send a message. We need to know what we're dealing with." The alien fleet began to send out a transmission to the mysterious ship, but the response was unexpected. A voice, calm and unwavering, echoed through their systems. "You have entered human territory. Prepare for contact." The Xarnath officers exchanged glances, confusion and disbelief spreading across their faces. Human territory. No one in the galaxy had heard from humanity in centuries. The last records of Earth showed that it had been wiped out long ago, its people scattered to the edges of the universe. To hear the name human again was both a shock and an insult. The Xarnath were certain that Earth was nothing but a memory. General Valak growled low in his throat. "How dare they?" He signaled to his officers. "Prepare for all possibilities. This ship might be a trap, but we cannot ignore it." As the Xarnath fleet took defensive positions, they watched the mysterious ship draw closer. It was massive, unlike any other human ship they had encountered in their historical records. It was sleek, with an almost organic design, as if it had grown from the fabric of space itself. Its surface shimmered in ways that seemed unnatural, and its energy signature fluctuated wildly, making it hard to lock onto with their tracking systems. Then, the warship did something unexpected. It didn't fire. Instead, it began to slow down, drawing closer to the fleet, until it was just a few kilometers away. The tension was palpable. The Xarnath ship stood ready, weapons primed. The unknown warship's silence only made the situation more unnerving. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, without warning, the warship's engines flared to life, sending a shockwave through space. The Xarnath ships flinched as a powerful signal blared through their communication channels. But this wasn't just a message. This was a challenge. The message that came next was brief, cold, and carried a weight that seemed to shake the very foundations of space. "You wanted war. Now see how we fight." The Xarnath fleet was stunned. Their screens flickered, and their systems buzzed with static. A new weapon, some unknown force. Their instincts screamed to open fire, to destroy this strange vessel before it could do any harm, but something held them back. This was no ordinary ship. This wasn't just some lost survivor from Earth. No, this was different. General Valak stood motionless for a moment, his mind racing. The Xarnath had faced countless enemies, but none like this. None who dared to speak to them with such defiance. No one had ever challenged the Empire like this before. "Open fire," Valak ordered, his voice cutting through the tension. "We'll show them the might of the Xarnath Empire." But as the Xarnath ships aimed their weapons and prepared to launch a barrage of firepower, something incredible happened. The warship's energy fields rippled, and with a single flash of light, a powerful shield surrounded it. The first volley of Xarnath weapons hit the shield and bounced off, harmlessly scattering into space. The Xarnath fleet fell into chaos. No ship had ever survived their weapons like this. No shield had ever deflected their firepower. The mysterious warship didn't fire back. Instead, it hovered, as if waiting for something. General Velax clenched his fists. What kind of ship is this? What kind of power? As the warship continued to deflect their attacks, the Xarnath commanders realized they were facing something new, something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, they felt fear. And in the heart of the warship, hidden from sight, a single human figure stood silently at the controls. Captain Eva Reyes, commander of humanity's final hope, had just delivered her message. Earth had returned. As the mysterious human warship hovered in front of the Xarnath fleet, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The alien ships, powerful and terrifying in their own right, had never encountered a force like this. Captain Eva Reyes' message had been clear. You wanted war. Now see how we fight. The Xarnath fleet was in a state of disarray. They had fired everything they had at the human warship, yet nothing had even scratched the surface of its defense. Their weapons were useless against the strange energy field surrounding it. The power radiating from the ship was unlike anything they had ever seen, an unfamiliar force that seemed to bend the laws of physics itself. The warship had not only deflected their attacks, it had neutralized them with ease. In the heart of the alien fleet, General Velax's mind raced. His eyes, usually sharp and calculating, were now filled with confusion and frustration. Who were these humans? Where had they come from? How had they developed such a weapon? Report. Velax commanded, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. His officers scrambled to gather data from the battle scanners. General, the human warship's energy field is unlike anything we've ever encountered, said one of his officers. Our weapons can't penetrate it, and it's absorbing our energy beams like a sponge. We can't get a lock on it. Its movements are unpredictable. Velax's claws dug into the command table as he processed the information. He had faced countless opponents across the galaxy, each one stronger than the last. But none had ever been able to shut down their attacks so easily. This warship wasn't just a ship, it was a weapon capable of destroying entire fleets. We need to know everything we can about this ship, Velax growled. What kind of power does it have? Where did it come from? And most importantly, why are humans back? The mystery unfolds. As the Xarnath officers continued their analysis, Captain Rice stood in the command center of her warship, calm and focused. Her fingers danced over the control panel, guiding the ship through space with a quiet determination. She was fully aware of the power at her fingertips, but she knew that she couldn't simply rely on that power alone. The Xarnath were a dangerous foe, and this was only the beginning. The warship she commanded was no ordinary vessel. It had been forged from the wreckage of countless alien ships found across the galaxy, remnants of civilizations long lost to time. For centuries, Earth had quietly studied the stars, sending expeditions to find ancient relics and uncover the mysteries of the universe. What they discovered was beyond anything they could have imagined. Hidden on a remote moon, deep inside a forgotten research facility, scientists had uncovered an ancient alien archive, one that held the secrets to unimaginable power. From these ruins, humanity had learned how to build a warship capable of standing against the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But there was something else, something far more significant than just the ship. The warship's power source was an artifact of incredible value, a mysterious core that tapped into the energy of the very fabric of space itself. It could absorb energy, amplify it, and then release it in devastating bursts. It was humanity's greatest weapon, and it had been hidden away for centuries, waiting for the day when it would be needed most. A meeting with the unknown. On Earth, the warship's sudden appearance had sent shockwaves across the planet. Governments scrambled to understand what was happening. The human race had spent years preparing for the worst, and now it seemed that the worst had arrived. In a secure underground facility, Dr. Evelyn Summers, a leading scientist on the warship's project, watched the live feed from the warship's command center. Her brow furrowed with concern as she observed the alien fleet's movements. The Xarneth were known for their ferocity, and the warship was not designed for direct confrontation with such a large force. The goal had always been to survive, not to provoke war. "We can't afford to make mistakes," Dr. Summers muttered to herself. She turned to the team of engineers behind her. "Prepare the backup protocols. If the warship's energy core begins to overheat, we need a fail-safe." "We're monitoring it, Doctor," one of the engineers replied. "But it's holding steady for now. The energy readings are off the charts, but it seems stable." Dr. Summers nodded, her mind racing. If the core became unstable, the consequences would be catastrophic. The warship had enough power to destroy entire star systems, and if it were to malfunction, it could tear a hole in the fabric of space itself. The Xarneth fleet strikes back. The battle raged in the cold expanse of space, the vast blackness illuminated only by the energy exchanges between the Xarneth fleet and humanity's mysterious warship. The Xarneth had launched their fiercest offensive, but the human warship had proven more than capable of countering every attack. The once unstoppable fleet now found itself struggling to maintain its dominance, its weapons powerless against the strange energy field surrounding the warship. Captain Eva Reyes, standing at the heart of the command center, watched the unfolding chaos with cold determination. Every movement of the warship was deliberate, every strike calculated. It was a dance of destruction, and Earth's greatest weapon was in full control. The energy core at the center of the ship hummed with an otherworldly power. It was a dangerous power, one that could obliterate entire systems. But for now, it was under control. But Eva knew that every time the warship absorbed energy from the Xarneth attacks, it became stronger, and there was a limit to how long even this advanced technology could hold before the core began to destabilize. "How are we holding up?" Eva's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it, the weight of responsibility pressing on her every word. "Shield strength at 70%, Captain," replied Lieutenant Kara, her eyes glued to the control panel. "Energy absorption is working well. We're holding steady." Eva nodded, but her eyes narrowed. "Keep monitoring the energy levels. We don't want to push the core too far. We're not invincible." As the warship absorbed another volley of fire from the Xarneth fleet, the shields flickered briefly. The ship shuddered under the impact, but it held. The warship's weapons were still silent, but Eva knew it wouldn't be long before they would need to unleash the full force of their arsenal. The Xarneth fleet's counterattack. On the bridge of the lead Xarneth ship, General Valak seethed. His fleet was being torn apart, and their weapons were proving useless against the human warship. How could this be? The Xarneth had fought countless enemies, but never had they encountered a race that could withstand their power, let alone challenge it. He slammed his fist on the armrest of his command chair. "We can't let them humiliate us like this," he growled. "Launch the second wave of strikes. This time, use everything we've got. Prepare the siege weaponry. Target their core." The orders were given, and the remaining Xarneth ships began to adjust their positions. Massive siege cannons, previously hidden beneath their ships' hulls, emerged and began to charge. These weapons were capable of launching planet-cracking energy beams, weapons designed for the ultimate destruction. The Xarneth commanders were no fools. They knew that if they didn't destroy the human warship now, they would risk losing the entire quadrant to this unknown force. But they also knew the risk of firing on the warship's energy core. One shot in the wrong place, and it could cause a cataclysmic explosion that would obliterate everything in its path. "Do not hesitate," General Valax ordered. "Aim for the weak spots. We cannot afford to hold back any longer." The Xarneth siege cannons charged, their energy readings spiking dangerously. The Xarnath ships fired, sending a volley of devastating blasts straight toward the human warship. The warship's shields flared bright, absorbing the barrage with little resistance. But even the most advanced shields had limits. The ship rocked violently, and for a moment, Eva's heart skipped a beat as the console blared a warning. "Shields at 40%, Lieutenant Kara shouted, her voice tight with urgency. "Damn it," Eva muttered under her breath. "We can't keep taking this kind of punishment." The human response. Eva looked out at the darkness of space, her mind racing. It was time to show the Xarnath what humanity was truly capable of. She gave a single nod to Lieutenant Kara. "Activate the main cannon. Let them see what happens when they push us too far." Without hesitation, the crew began to implement the command. The warship's core flared as it drew in energy from the surrounding space, amplifying it beyond belief. The ship's massive weapon systems powered up. The hum of energy grew louder as a massive cannon, hidden beneath the warship's hull, began to charge. The destruction of the Xarnath flagship had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Across the star systems, whispers spread like wildfire. Humanity had returned, and they were not to be underestimated. The unexpected power of their warship had shaken even the most fearsome alien fleets. The Xarnath, once the undisputed rulers of this quadrant, were now on the defensive. But the war was far from over. As the remaining Xarnath ships scattered in every direction, trying to regroup, Captain Eva Reyes stood at the heart of her warship's command center, her face illuminated by the glowing holographic displays. She watched the Xarnath retreat, but she didn't feel relief, only the cold weight of responsibility. "Are we sure the fleet is in full retreat?" Eva asked, her voice steady, but with an undertone of caution. Lieutenant Kara, her second-in-command, tapped a series of keys, her brow furrowing as she analyzed the fleet's movements. "They're pulling back for now, Captain. But they're not leaving the sector. They've positioned their remaining ships in a defensive formation." Eva's gaze hardened. "They know this isn't over. They'll regroup, and next time, they'll come at us harder. We need to be ready." A galactic warning. On Earth, the news of humanity's victory had spread across the globe. Governments, military leaders, and scientists alike were scrambling to process what had just happened. No one had expected the human warship to possess such overwhelming power. But now, the world was on edge. What had begun as a rescue mission was now a declaration of war. A war for survival. In a secure underground facility, Dr. Evelyn Summers and her team of engineers studied the data coming from the warship. The core was holding, but just barely. Every shot fired took a toll on the warship's systems, and if they weren't careful, they could destroy the ship in the process. "How long can the core withstand this kind of strain?" Dr. Summers asked, her voice laced with concern. "At this rate, we have enough energy for 2 more major blasts," one of her engineers replied. "After that, we'll need to divert power from other systems to keep the core stable. But we risk destabilizing it. A single mistake could tear the ship apart." Dr. Summers nodded grimly. "We can't afford any mistakes. If we want to win this war, we'll need to find a way to keep the ship intact while still delivering the firepower we need." The Xarnath's last stand. Far from Earth, the Xarnath fleet had taken refuge on a desolate moon, hidden within a gas cloud that masked their presence. General Velax paced across the command deck, his mind consumed with thoughts of vengeance. The humans had humiliated them. They had lost their flagship, and countless ships had been destroyed. But Velax knew that the Xarnath were not easily defeated. "We will not let them get away with this," Velax growled. "Prepare the final assault. This time, we strike with everything we have." His officers exchanged nervous glances, but they knew better than to argue with their leader. The Xarnath were a brutal race, and their pride had been wounded. But this time, they would not be relying on their conventional tactics. The humans had proven too powerful. The time had come for a more destructive approach. "We'll deploy the Center-class dreadnought," an officer reported, her voice filled with anticipation. "It's equipped with the Omega Cannon, a weapon capable of destroying entire planets." Velax's eyes gleamed with malicious intent. "Good. Make sure the humans understand that this is not a game. We will break them. This time, there will be no mercy." The plan to destroy Earth. As the Xarnath fleet prepared for their final attack, Captain Eva Reyes and her crew continued to strategize. She knew that the Xarnath would not give up easily, but she also knew that they could not afford to waste any more time. "We need to strike before they have the chance to regroup," Eva said, her tone resolute. "If we let them gather their strength, they'll come at us with everything they've got." Lieutenant Kara nodded. "We're ready, Captain. The warship's core is still functional, but we're pushing it to the limit. If we can destroy their main fleet now, we may be able to force them into surrender." "Agreed," Eva replied. "But we can't let them launch that Center-class dreadnought. If that weapon is what they say it is, Earth will be a target, and there's no coming back from that. We need to stop it before it even gets close." The final confrontation. The Xarnath dreadnought, the Center-class, emerged from the gas cloud, its dark silhouette ominous against the swirling gases of the nebula. The Omega Cannon, capable of destroying an entire planet, powered up as the dreadnought prepared to unleash its devastating firepower on Earth. The energy readings were off the charts, and the Xarnath were ready to make their move. The remains of the Xarnath fleet drifted in space, shattered and broken. Their flagship, the mighty Center-class dreadnought, was no more than a smoldering wreck, its massive structure torn apart by the relentless force of the human warship's final assault. The silence that followed was eerie. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as the dust of the battlefield settled. Captain Eva Reyes stood at the helm of the warship, her expression unreadable as she stared out into the vast expanse of stars. The victory had been hard-earned, and yet there was no time to savor it. The war had just begun, and Earth was now on the map of the galaxy, a force to be reckoned with. The stakes had never been higher. "We did it, Captain." Lieutenant Kara's voice cut through the stillness. "The Xarnath are broken. They won't recover from this." Eva turned slowly, her face tired but resolute. "We may have broken their fleet, Kara, but we've only just begun. The galaxy is vast, and the Xarnath won't be the last to test us." Her words were sharp, but they were laced with the understanding that this victory, though monumental, was just the beginning. The warship, though powerful, was not invincible. Its core was unstable, and repairs would be needed if they were to survive another battle. "Status report," Eva said, taking command once again. "Shields are at 60%, Kara replied, checking the display. "The core is holding, but it's on its last legs. We'll need to make repairs before we can engage again." Eva nodded. "Prepare for an immediate course change. We're heading back to Earth." A new message. Back on Earth, the whole world watched in awe as the battle between the human warship and the Xarnath fleet unfolded on every screen. News stations, military channels, and even civilian broadcasts carried the images of the warship's victory, the destruction of the Xarnath flagship, and the human retaliation. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Humanity had proven itself, not just as survivors, but as warriors. In a secure facility, Dr. Evelyn Summers and her team reviewed the warship's systems. The core's energy output had been incredible, but the strain it had taken from the constant use was starting to show. "We need to make some modifications," Dr. Summers said, speaking to the engineers working around her. "The next time we face an enemy like the Xarnath, we'll need more power, more precision. We cannot afford another close call." But there was one more thing. A message that had been sent from the warship, encrypted and coded to be broadcast to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. "Is the transmission ready?" Dr. Summers asked. "Almost, Dr. Summers," one of the technicians replied, tapping furiously at the console. "We're broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy. It'll take a few moments to reach the distant systems. Humanity's declaration. The camera switched to a darkened room inside the warship, the only light coming from the soft glow of the holographic console. Captain Eva Reyes stood before it, her figure silhouetted against the stars outside. The image of her warship, the symbol of humanity's return, flickered in the background, and she knew what she had to do. "We've just fought a battle for survival," she began, her voice steady, but carrying the weight of their victory. "But this war is far from over. The galaxy is filled with empires and species that have long forgotten what humanity is capable of. Today, the Xarneth learned that lesson. But others will come, and they will test us. They will learn the same thing." Eva paused, looking out into the endless sea of stars. "We are not the weakest. We are not the helpless. And we will not be silenced. Humanity has returned to this galaxy, not as a forgotten relic, but as a force of nature. We will fight, we will survive, and we will win. To those who dare to challenge us, know this: you wanted war, now see how we fight." As the transmission ended, the galaxy was left in stunned silence. The message was clear. Humanity had returned, not just as survivors, but as conquerors. The warship had proven their strength, but it was the message that truly resonated. The galaxy would never be the same again.